The two Seth sessions on this tape address a wide variety of topics. Our first selection comes from an evening when Seth fielded a rather large amount of questions from the students in the class. Often in Jane Roberts' class, there never seemed to be enough time for the students to pose all of the questions they wanted to ask. But every once in a while, Seth would take an evening and address as many questions as we could come up with. In our discussions about consciously creating our reality, students sometimes brought up the issue of jobs, relationships, and other situations that they weren't really pleased with. People often wondered whether it would be best to alter the way they related to a job or relationship, or to simply quit the job or end the relationship. On this particular evening, we were discussing beliefs and freedom of action in general when Jane Roberts took off her glasses and Seth came through.
I bid you good evening, and remember this. You have a right to say no. In the great affirmation of your being, you are conscious. You are therefore able to make a distinction. You can like something better than something else. Within the great affirmation of your being, you can deny. You can say no to a situation freely and joyfully and exuberantly and feel free, and that you are using the abilities of your consciousness, your spirit, and your creaturehood. If you say no, you say no for a reason. Find out what the reason is. You have a right to it.
At this point, Seth continues with a discussion of the importance of allowing yourself to feel the full range of your emotions. In our culture, many people have been taught to mistrust themselves and their emotions. This mistrust leads us to keep guard on ourselves and to selectively repress certain feelings. Here is Seth now discussing these issues.
Never say no to your own feelings. Accept them. Hate will lead you back to love if you allow it to. All emotions come from love. Hate shows you the distance between yourself and another person for whom you feel love. If you think that the majority of your fellow men are stupid, idiotic, and leading the world toward destruction, it is only because you love the race so strongly and feel the race falling short of the expectations of your love. If you allow yourself to experience that emotion, then it will lead you back to the realization of your love. But if you deny what you think of as hatred, disgust, or dissatisfaction, then it cannot lead you toward the destination for which it was meant. If you think you hate a parent, it is because there is in your mind such a separation between yourself and the love for that parent that you feel. If you allow yourself, therefore, to feel the hatred, you will also experience the love. You do not hate those for whom you have no regard. They do not bother you in any way whatsoever. They are outside of your notice. You love your enemies whether you know it or not. You are bound to them. For in your mind you constantly compare them with what you think they should be in the vision of your greater love for them and for yourself. Whenever you think you hate, you love. But unless you allow yourself to feel the hatred, you will never know. If you hate someone and you beat a pillow and pretend you are beating that person to death, then when the murder is committed, you will realize the great love that you really feel. And the death will be the death of the hatred, not of the person. You cannot love yourself and hate your emotions. You cannot love yourself and distrust the reality that is your own. And within the great affirmation and the joy of your being, you can deny and say no. For when you deny and say no, you are doing so comparing what you say no to what you want to say yes to. You are comparing in terms of an ideal that exists in terms of love within your mind. If we bloodless old ghosts are not afraid of emotion, I don't see why you should be.
Seth continues now by speaking to a specific student about trusting his spontaneous direction.
There are no clear mirrors to look through that will show you one impeccable, immaculate reality, and no one ideal column who can say I shall and must do this and that to fulfill my abilities. There are instead an infinite number of probabilities, and you, my dear friend, have freedom to move within them. You want me to say you should do thus and so.
No, not anymore.
Or you want yourself to say I must do thus and so.
That's true.
But if you flow with the feeling of yourself, you will go where your being goes. Trust. Trust the lives that are within you now. Go along with your own living that flows through you. In your here and now, you are here and now. Feel that here and nowness. Know its knowing. And you will be where the being of you wants to go. Feel yourself flowing and moving as easily through your life situation as the hair grows out from your head, as easily and naturally. Feel events that you want happening as hairs grow out from your head. Go with you be. Go with you be. Imagine what you think of as doubt as a beautiful inner natural phenomenon, as rocks glowing in the sun, in the stream of your being. They are beautiful and natural. They are not impediments. You flow around them beautifully. They are a part of your being. Now remember that last sentence particularly. and I return you to your class.
The class then proceeded to discuss Seth's remarks with some disagreement as to what he meant. Seth returned to comment.
Off. Not open. And much less in this group than usual. People want a pill called proof. You take it, and all your problems are solved. You know what to do with your life. There are no decisions for you to make. The pill solves it all for you. You do not believe in pills that come from a bottle any longer, most of you. But you want a metaphysical pill. And the metaphysical pill will solve it all for you.
Seth, what is the stuff that everybody calls enlightenment? And all this Zen stuff that goes on there, and then somebody's enlightened and then something else happens to the light.
Now, if I could sing, I would sing, "What is this thing called love?" But I cannot sing. Enlightenment is a normal part of your consciousness. It is a function of your consciousness. There are very methods that you think will help you achieve it. As long as you think you need methods, you will run from method to method and from teacher to teacher. And the teachers will very cleverly work within your belief. If you believe that you are guilty, then you will go to a teacher who will say, "Yes, you are indeed guilty, and I will tell you how nasty and dirty you are." And in one way or another, he will show you how to do penance for your sins. It may be a wise and clever, a benign guru who gives you so many hits over the back with a whip. It may be a system of beliefs that tell you that you must work very hard for knowledge because you believe you do not deserve it easily.
This last comment was directed to a student who was involved with a teacher and a group of people dedicated to the philosophy of G.J. Gurdjieff. At this point, the student said that she didn't think that what Seth was saying to her was true. Seth replied,
"I do. But work with your own beliefs honestly and see what you think when you are finished. If you believe that knowledge is difficult to achieve, it will be. But you will often, as in the instances I mentioned, work within a system that agrees with your beliefs. Now, up to a point, this is beneficial, and you will learn from it, and you will see within the system the reflection of your beliefs, and you will begin to move out of that system. But you need often the framework of the system and the agreement, so that often a beneficial framework is set up, but one through which you will move. Now, in many cases, and in such schools, in any schools of beliefs, you will find, for example, students who will set themselves apart and begin offshoots as their system of beliefs begin to change. You will find alteration. But in all cases, each of you use the system of belief for your own purposes. There will be benefits involved, and you will move through each. There is no end to the creation of beliefs within your system. Each are handy reference points that you use, rocks that you stand on for a specific time. Now, when I say move on, I am not speaking in terms necessarily of higher or lower advancement. I'm not speaking of beliefs as rocks that lead to the mountaintop of truth.
Where do they lead?
They lead to other beliefs and to other realities and to other creative activities that all extend the nature of your own consciousness, the nature of your own being, and that open up within yourself the acquiescence to new experiences that increase the being of your being. It would do you no good now to have 56 teeth. Your mouth would not hold them, and it would be difficult to smile or frown. I will leave you to make the connection with that analogy.
This last bit from Seth was directed to me in response to the question I asked about where beliefs led. I felt that the analogy Seth made about 56 teeth indicated that there was only certain types or ranges of experience and knowledge that fit, so to speak, within the physical framework that we are now in. But to think of our current condition as a lower or less advanced state of being is not really accurate. The seed of a tree is not in a lower or less spiritually advanced state than the giant oak it will grow into. Eventually, we will be moving on to other realities, and there we will experience further creative activities that we aren't currently ready to handle. This, of course, is not to say that we are fundamentally limited here, since we have access right now to other states of our being that already reside in non-physical reality. After a class discussion of these concepts, Seth returned.
You are here because you are beginning to believe in the freedom of yourself and in your own integrity. You are ready to sit and listen to someone who says, look into yourself, know yourself, and who at least will help you do so. Now in your terms, I have some very good points to say for me, and yet some liability. After all, you have bodies that you have to live in every day, and what you think of as intimate personal problems that go on all the time. On the other hand, because I am not physically focused, I have the time, the energy, and the inclination to travel in other realms and tell you about what good is I can bring back. But I always remind you that in whatever terms you think, your consciousness is your own. Your abilities are your own. And those realities that I know are not necessarily yours. I will travel in my own way through reality, and you will travel through your own way in reality. Now, listen. in a manner of speaking now, and as an analogy. You are entities to the molecules within you. In your turn, they send you out into realities of sensation and dimension that they cannot understand. You make a conscious decision to drive a car or not to drive a car. The molecules within you do not know what a car is. Yet your ability to drive that car is dependent upon the existence of those atoms and molecules. Yet for them, you go out into a reality that they do not know. They join their reality with yours, and theirs is vivid and varied and real, but it is not yours. And yet it is a part of yours, and they send you out. Speaking now again as an analogy. In terms of time, you are what they will be. Now in terms of time, and following the analogy, oh, you little minded baby. Portions of you go out as you go out from your motive and speak back and to tell you of reality that now you do not consciously perceive, but that are yours. Now think that.
The class continued with a discussion of Seth's remarks and wound up going back to the subject of love and hate. Seth returned to comment. A few words were lost on the original recording, so I'll give them to you now. Seth began by saying that when a child says to a parent, "I hate you," often the parent is appalled. He then continued.
The parent says you should not say that, or that is bad. And the child quickly learns not to be so honest. Now this is from my book. But what the child is saying, I love you so much, and I sense this great love. What separates me from it now? And how can I return to it? And what has happened? And what is wrong? And the hate operates in the same manner, regardless of your age and the personalities involved. And if you are taught to believe it is wrong, it is then more difficult to get back to love, because you begin to inhibit the feeling.
Here a student asks whether the hate or upsetness or frustration that you feel in relationships with other people exists because you are seeing yourself in them, and because they are not doing the things you think you should be doing. Seth replied,
To some extent, yes. Now when you love someone, you are able to see what you think of or feel or interpret as the ideal. You are also aware of the separation from that ideal. But these do not bother you. You accept them, but you do not focus upon them. Now you may also, however, because of your identification, see in the other person your own ideal of your sin. And then perceive, as they seem to fall in their behavior from your ideal pattern, also your own failures, and to be twice as angry because it seems to you they are failing for themselves and for you.